somehow we had a lot of confidence. The first product that we launched was a 20 crore. Okay, and we had zero customer base, and we thought, ये तो बेच लेंगे. So, and you see that even if your best friend has to invest in some product that you are selling, he will ask you 100 questions.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Fintech imparts. This is your host Shani, and today we have with us Mr. Vineet Agrawal, a founder of a very unique wealth tech startup called Jiraaf. Hi Mr. Vineet, thank you for joining us today.
Hi Shreyas, thank you for having us at Fintech Kibat.
Pleasure. It's always interesting to talk to entrepreneurs working on unique concepts and ideas. And as you say, right, the passion that you guys work with, it's always infectious, and it also keeps us motivated to doing a lot of stuff. So thank you for that. Having said that,
and for promoting the startup community and especially the fintech community, I mean, it's really great that people are, getting to know a lot about fintech, especially through your channel.
Thank you so much. Having said that, let's straight up jump into what Jiraaf is. So over to you, a quick introduction of yourself and then on to Jiraaf and what it does.
So quick background, I would say my profile is similar to a lot of Indians, wherein, after schooling, I did my engineering, then did an MBA, started my career in the corporate banking space. I was part of the large corporate in an Axis Bank initial part of my career.
Okay.
And that exposure gave me, that stint actually gave me an exposure to a lot of, I would say, banking related products across the sector. From steel to cements to manufacturing to NBFC, etc. And then I moved to a private equity / NBFC setup. I was lucky to join them, at the start of their, I would say, organization structure. I was like the 10th member to join them when they were just starting up. It was called Piramal Fund. And, I was the first guy that they hired in the entire South India. We started from a 10-member team with a $50 million kind of a AUM. And I was there for almost 7 years plus, and you grew that to almost a $9 billion, fund / NBFC, and to over, like more than 500 people. So that was almost like an entrepreneurial stint for me, because that gave me an exposure across capital stack. We had our own fund, we had our own NBFC, we had our own prop money. So we could do different structures, different types of transaction. And, a lot of authority and empowerment was given to us to, build that company up and, starting from recruitment to setting up the company to setting up different verticals, etc. So that was a really rich experience, I would say. And post that, once we had scaled up, we became really big. And then, that was the time when we hit the first wave of COVID 2020. And that's the time when you get to think about yourself, what do you want to do in life? And that is when, I thought, now having built up a company where it was almost like a well-funded startup, if I have to put it, with unlimited money. Okay. And so it was almost that kind of a setup. And once you have created it and it's become really big, then, you again want to do that thing again. But it was now time that I thought, let me build something for myself and, something that I believe in. And yes, so that was it. So I quit my job post the first wave of COVID once it got over and started building upon this idea of Jiraaf.
Oh, awesome. Sounds super interesting. And I think it's very rare that people get access to, or basically, to be the part of the first few employees of a big corporate company, right? And it actually adds to a lot of learning for the individual who jumps in at that stage. And I can't. What if I can recount the number of times when I've spoken to founder of huge organizations? I think some of them or many of them have been inspired by these kind of positions early in their career. They were given an opportunity to be a part of the first 10 or first 20 employees of a big organization, and that added to that entrepreneurial spirit that they fostered, which led to them, ultimately building something on their own. So great to see a great example of that as well. So over to you, just quickly, what is Jiraaf all about?
So see, the vision with which we, Saurav and I started, Saurav is my another co-founder, both of us started Jiraaf, was that, it was primarily from our own experience. As I told you, both of us are from, I would say the traditional finance industry where we work in NBFCs, private equity, etc. And what we saw there was, that, people like us, all, even including you, I would say, once we start earning in our life, the first thing that we did was, we'll do some SIPs. And then we'll buy some shares based on some friend's recommendation ke kaun sa kharidna hai, which is doing fine. Then once we move ahead in the career, you earn little more money, okay, then you buy a house for yourself. And in between, you might buy some gold for families, etc. What we saw was that, more than 90% of the people invested in these three asset classes only, which is buy a SIP or share, buy a house or buy gold. You earn more money, you buy one more house, buy more share, buy more gold. So, it was that way of investment. But in our close circles, we work with a lot of family offices, we work with a lot of ultra HNIs, and what we saw was that they don't invest like us. And there were a lot of products which we were manufacturing in our previous job, which were being purchased by these family offices, these ultra HNIs. And I wanted to say buy 10 lakh, 5 lakh, 20 lakh worth of those financial products, but I never had access to. Because the minimum entry ticket size would be 2 crore, 3 crore, 5 crore, it started small. So that was something which Saurav and I kept on discussing. If we can, there is some way we can bring good quality products, to normal retail people like us. Maybe I would want to park some portion of my wealth in these products. So that's how we started discussing. Then we started researching as to, why this is not available, what are the pitfalls, and, if there can be one platform, the one-stop solution, basically, if I have to put it, where, away from equity, you can invest in other financial products, which is now called as alternate investment. So we wanted Jiraaf to be that one-stop platform.
Right.
And so that's the vision with which we started Jiraaf, basically.
Bilkul, I think that sounds, that's really interesting. And I think, given the current scenario, I mean, there is really a very limited amount of alternate investments. Investment options available for retail investors, right? And I mean, as you said, there is definitely a gap wherein the HNIs and ultra HNIs have access to a lot more asset classes where they can kind of invest in. So these kind of thought and these kind of platforms which kind of makes available these new asset classes to a more retail segment is definitely welcome in the market. And I think it's a very novel idea that you're kind of pursuing. So yeah, thanks for that. Having said that, let's kind of get to the next part and the first segment of the podcast called Entrepreneurship Ki Baat, where we talk about your journey. And I think one of the most important questions that comes to my mind when I'm talking to a founder, when I'm meeting any founder, is that what is it that inspired you to leave your job? I mean, you were there for 7 years in Piramal and you had a very great career going on. So what kind of inspired you to leave that job and get into this madness of entrepreneurship?
So as I said, Shreyas, when I was in Piramal and the first COVID struck, so that time we got actually we got a lot of time to think about what we want to do in life.
Right.
And I always had that, I would say maybe it is because of my upbringing where I'm part of a Marwadi family where you get exposed to business since you are born. Okay, and you always have that chill to do something of your own. It might be a combination of that plus an opportunity which I saw. This is something that we can do. It was a combination of those two, I would say, and I felt that I am at the right stage of my career where if I would not have taken that step, maybe at that point of my life, then maybe I would have never taken that. So I thought, I'm at a stage in my career where, I've worked for almost 10 years plus. I've created some sort of a wealth for myself where, at least for 2-3 years, couple of years, my family can be taken care of. And it was like I would say, very practical decision that I discussed with my family. And, I had taken that, this is the time now. And I believe in this, what I want to do. And it is the right time that I should, pick this up, basically.
Bilkul. Perfect. And so I think you have been into this journey for almost 1.5 years now?
Yeah, we started, Saurav and I came together in June 21, okay? So we started debating from September 20 only, but we partly, I would say, set up the company in June 21 when we raised our first seed funding, if I have to put it. Before that, almost for 6 months, we were ideating कि क्या करना है, कैसे करना है, researching about the topic, etc. And so June 21 to June 23, it's around 2 years. We launched ourselves in September 20 to the public.
Okay. Got it. So you said you raised you started the company after raising the seed funding, right? So what was, I would say, what was the experience of raising your first round, right? I think you raised it while you were while you were just created the basic MVP, if I'm not wrong, if that's correct.
Yeah.
So how was the experience?
Actually, it's raised it into the ideation stage. I would say both of us were lucky to get that that confidence from the investors at that stage, and so that is where I would say a little bit of our experience helped us. Okay, we went to the market and we started talking to few people. This is the idea and this is what we want to do. So one of the first guy who believed in our idea was Siddharth Shah. Is the founder of Farmeasy. He is also Saurav's batchmate from Ahmedabad. So obviously that connect, and we met him and we told him this is what we want to do. Not from a funding perspective, it was just to discuss the idea. Okay, we are not looking for funding then, and we thought this is what we can do, and you have created a large organization, and we both of us come from finance domain. We don't understand technology that much, I would say, and we wanted to take some perspective from people who have built great technology companies in India as to how easy or difficult that would be.
Got it.
So we met for a dinner, we spoke for hours, and then he said, if you guys are building this, I would like to back you up. So that's how it's...
Got it. So in nowadays, I've met a lot of founders, right, who kind of dream of having a raise or raising a seed round at idea stage, but not many of them succeed. So what was it that kind of help you succeed there? Or if I were to phrase it differently, what would be your one tip to founders who are looking to raise capital at idea stage?
Definitely 2-3 things. Okay, I would say one is that investor they will look for the how deeply you understand what you want to build. Okay, so now that is something at least which helped us. So the first check which was returned by was Siddharth Shah and Kedar Mankekar. Kedar Mankekar is an ace equity investor for India. He is like one of the most renowned names in the Indian equity market. He understands Indian equity very well. So he was the first guy. And see, when you talk to people like that, what they would want to see is that, whether you understand what you want to build deep enough. Okay. Whether you have done that research, whether you have done, or it's just something you have thought, over the night and have come to pitch, I would say. So that is one thing that worked in our favor, where I would say we could answer maybe 9 out of 10 questions that they had for us with confidence. So that is one thing definitely, a budding entrepreneur should do. Idea is one thing. The startup is all about execution, I would say. Okay.
True.
So if you talk to everyone, everybody will have 10 ideas. Ye karenge, and all ideas might be $1 billion idea. Okay. But at the end of the day, it's a game of execution. The game of whether you have can you roll up your sleeves and can you deliver what you're talking. So once an investor has confidence on these 2 factors, that your subject well, and they believe that you have the hunger and drive to execute it, I think you'll get someone who will believe in. And obviously perseverance. We were lucky that we got it quickly, but I would say that does not work throughout the life. So you'll get your first check quickly, but the next round you might have to pitch to 100 people. Okay, maybe you get the first round, you have to pitch to 100 people, and then never in life you have to pitch anyone. So, it can be, so perseverance will also definitely play a very important role.
Indeed, I think that is very well put. Perseverance, I think, is the go-to word for any entrepreneur who wants to succeed. Having said that, right, moving on to the next question, I think it's something that really intrigues me. The answers that I get to this, right? They're always interesting when I talk to founders. I think, which is essentially what is the most humbling moment that you faced after you left the job when you started, which made you challenge everything that you had decided, or everything that you had, everything that essentially you stood for in that point of time?
So I would say it was maybe in the first, when we launched the platform, obviously no one knew about us. And like any entrepreneur, you will call practically everyone you know in the entire earth, telling you know, this is something that I have started. This is something, you know, you are practically the sales guy of your company, right? Any business that you build, it doesn't matter. Even if it is SaaS, it is B2B, it is B2C, any domain that is, you have to sell your product or service, right? So the first, I would say the first month, before even building a team, we were like 4-5 people when we, you know, just started this. And so we were practically the sales guy. We used to call everyone. We used to talk for hours and hours, even so that they could buy, I would say 1 lakh worth of bonds or debenture that we started with. And somehow we had a lot of confidence. You know, the first product that we launched was a 20 crore product. Okay, and we had 0 customer base, and we thought कि ठीक है ये तो बेच लेंगे. So and that was the, I would say, founder's optimism, if I have to put it. Okay. Yeah. And that was the most humbling moment, because we felt that, you know, 15 दिन कितना time लगेगा? We know so many people. Even if they put, you know, 10 lakh, 15 lakh each, maybe in another 15-20 days, we can sell it off entirely. But the first product took us almost 3 months to sell. Okay. And as against the 15 days that we had thought of, that really humbled us, if I have to put it, where you see that, you know, even if your best friend has to invest in some product that you are selling, he will ask you 100 questions. Maybe. So they will, then we started, thinking more about it, then we started learning, okay, what are the type of questions that they want? What is the primary comfort that they are looking at? What is the level of service that they are expecting from us? So there was a lot of learning, I would say, in the first 3 months of our journey, which helped us put up a lot of processes, which helped us put up a lot of gaps which we could identify, and we filled those gaps with either processes, either technology or people, right? And we started identifying those. What we did was that, for next 2 to 3 months, we did not come up with any other product. We said, let us focus on setting up this first. If the foundation is weak, and if we just start, selling and, start going to the market, I don't think it will work out. And we cannot then scale up on a weak foundation. Then we focused on that. We built up the core team. We built up the processes. And then, started building upon that, if I have to put it.
Interesting. So, I mean, I've heard, and this is always very, very good to hear from founders, like the founder optimism point जो आपने बोला कि यार हमने तो मतलब ठाने दी हम कर लेंगे, and that is essentially what drives the startup at early stage, right? अगर वो एक आग नहीं रहेगी अंदर, अगर वो एक optimism नहीं रहेगा, तो यार फिर startup करने का फायदा भी क्या है वो चीज़, right?
Yeah, it's not possible that. It's very
बिल्कुल. And having said that, right, I mean, being through this journey for the last 1.5 years and being a founder specifically at an early stage, it is definitely very difficult, and I'm sure it's mentally and physically stressful and taxing. So what is it that you do to kind of, manage and stay sane, to be very honest?
So I would say, the first 6 months, at least for us, it was the most difficult phase, where, you have to practically do everything yourself. And at that point of time, both Saurav and I felt कि यार ऐसे तो नहीं चले. Okay, and with the vision that we have set up, we need to have a really, really strong next level team. Okay, so the core team after the founder. So we identified, these are the 6 people that we would need for us to build and scale at the speed and the volume that we are imagining. The first 3-4 months, we did not have those people. We had 1 or 2 of those people. So we said, first focus is to build that team, not to do business. Okay. So as I told you, the first deal that we launched was a 20 crore transaction. The next deal that we launched was a 5 crore transaction. And we said, next 6 months, we will just do only 4 to 5 crore monthly. We don't want to do more than that. We will set up this team. We will set up the processes for each of the product. Which document, kaise signing hua, what would be the SOP. So, and for the first 6 months, we would have done maybe close to 30-40 crore kind of a business, 20 crore initial and 5 crore every month.
Right.
Once we felt, which is last year, April, okay, so September 21 to March 22, okay, the first 6 months was setting up the core team, setting up the processes. April onwards, we started doing 30 crore monthly.
Wow.
And today, in last 12 months, we are doing almost 200 crore monthly. And with the same core 60, okay. So now, that is, I would say, the most important thing which helped us to become sane, because we said, okay, if we continue to do everything, then the okay. So the focus was on processes, the focus was on the core team, I would say. Those were the two most important things, both sort of relentlessly. We did not compromise on anything, because your team will come and tell you, नहीं ये ऐसे नहीं करते, ये process को simple कर देता है, ये step नहीं करते. Okay, so we said nothing doing, we have to follow this process only, which we have. And that helps you to build up, and at scale, then you don't have to think about a lot of things.
True.
At an operational level.
Of course. No, I think, we have brought up a really interesting point, and something that is also probably the most faced dilemma by a lot of early stage founders, right? For the lack of better word, I would call it SOPization, basically, standard operating processes. So in early stage founders, I think जितनी भी अभी बात हुई है, they are always in a dilemma on whether to set up standard SOPs for a lot of processes and kind of set things, make things a lot more easy and seamless to operate, or kind of having a lot more flexible at stages, so that they have that flexibility and wiggle room to adapt and adjust to different circumstances. So, since you are a founder and you've already chosen, you've already built SOPs, I would want your view on this dilemma and what made you make the decision that you made.
So, Shreyas, I personally believe is that, I've read this book and I like it, is that what got you here won't get you there. Okay.
True.
So, so what it means is that, suppose when you are in that 0 to 1 phase of building a startup, you should start making an SOP which will take you 1 to 10. Okay, not the 0 to 1. And when once you have started cross that 2, 3, 4, you have to start building an SOP which will take you from 10 to 100, and the same things keeps on going. So see, you cannot, there is no SOP which will work for eternity. Okay, you might have certain principles or certain value system in the company which will be there for eternity, but the processes has to keep on changing with scale, with complexities of business, with maybe different productizations, with different geographical presence. So at each stage, I think a founder should think, okay, now this can take me to next 12 months, this process is enough. But what is that I can do today, which will start, we can start implementing from maybe 13th month, so that 10 to 100 wala journey I can cross, and maybe 100 to 1000. So from a process point of view, you have to be little ahead of time and start thinking and implementing.
Got it. No, I think that is very insightful. I'm pretty sure a lot of our listeners who are founders will find this helpful. Having said that, right, one of the next question essentially revolves around something that almost every founder does, and probably learns a lot from that than something else, right? So basically, what was the biggest mistake that you have ever made, and how did you kind of recover from that?
It's like from a personal life perspective, or we're talking about Jiraaf?
Both. Whichever is more interesting and insightful.
So Jiraaf, I think I have already spoken, the biggest mistake that we made, it was, I would say, the overconfidence to launch a platform with a 20 crore kind of a portfolio. Okay. I would not say mistake. It was, I would say, the confidence on ourselves that we can deliver it in a short frame of time. But we learned from that, and we built on that, and that has helped us today. At a personal life, I would say, in my previous job, which I always go back to that point where I think I did a very bad job in one of the transactions that we were doing. Okay? Yeah. And because, I had a very, very, I would say, extremely smart manager. And what happened was that I was young also, I was just like 3-4 years with a work ex of 3 to 4 years. And I thought, okay, ek average kaam karke bhi, I'll just give a presentation or a note with a very average, I would say, job that was done. And it was a very, very big transaction. And, obviously he was not happy, that company, that, I did not put I would say I was lacking ownership for that particular deal, if I have to use that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And that one moment, I think I really felt bad about, what I had done. But I overcome it. And obviously, that we are still very good friends. And even he tells me that, post that moment, you were totally changed when you realized, ownership is very, very important in whatever you do in life. And in fact, for one of the value system that we have in Jiraaf, we have 6 value system, and ownership is one of them. And, so that was one learning from my own personal life, I said, which I implemented here in Jiraaf, and which we are really, really, very particular about whenever we hire anyone, whenever we do appraisals for anyone. We really look at, what is the ownership level of that particular individual. And irrespective, even if they are the most junior, most people, or even if they are the, I would say, the senior most people, that's very important for us.
But definitely, I think, especially in, not just for startups, but any organization, I think ownership is very important as for an employee. But startups में उसका requirements कुछ ज़्यादा ही बढ़ जाता है, because no one can no one can do follow-ups with you to say कि कितना किया क्या किया. You have to be proactive and you have to take the ownership of it. So no, I think very well said. Having said that, right, just one hypothetical question, and I always get really interesting answers to it. So, अगर आपके पास day 1 पे $1 billion बैंक अकाउंट में होता है to build Jiraafs, what would you have done differently?
So it's a good problem to have to start with. Very well. And luckily for me, as I told you, my previous job was similar to that, because we were set up by Piramal family and practically had unlimited money to start. Okay. So it was almost a similar problem, if I have to put it. Okay. And the only difference would be that, maybe with a shorter capital, when you have less capital, okay, then there are a lot of decisions that you defer it. Okay. Maybe right now is not the right stage where I can implement that, because, you don't have a lot of bandwidth to experiment with.
Sure.
A larger capital helps you do that. Okay. So now if we had that kind of a capital, maybe there are 2 or 3 different ideas and verticals that we would have experimented with, then building it block by block, because then, we had the bandwidth to take a loss. Okay, even if it did not work out. So, it's okay. So that is something which we had done then in my previous company also, where we set up few verticals. It did not work out for us, but few did. Okay. And this is the reason why, a lot of these companies like the Microsofts and Google and Amazons of the world, if you see, they have 100 different businesses at any point. Any business, if they feel is scalable, they'll enter into it. Because they know that, even if I enter into 10 businesses, I know 8 will not work out and 2 will become very big. So Amazon does it every year, That is how they got AWS. That is how they got Alexa. That is, you will get some winners out of it. Okay.
True.
And that will take care of whatever losses that you have. So that is something maybe, I would have done differently. Maybe more experimentation.
Interesting. Fair enough. This brings us to the last question of this segment. What are your top 3 don'ts for budding entrepreneurs out there? What would you advise them not to do?
The first thing I would say is that, not to lose the distraction. See, what happens, once you start setting up the company, every day you will get one idea ki, ye aise kar lete hai. Yeah, you can also do this. Okay. So once you start building something, you keep on getting ideas from various sources, and that brings a lot of distraction. Okay.
True.
And it's very, very difficult to maintain that focus and not get distracted. Okay. Okay, what you have set out for, focus on that, and just keep your head down and start building until you reach a scale. Okay. And you personally should have I would say, benchmark. Once I reach here, that is when I will do 1 experiment or 2 experiments. Then again, I need to reach this level. Then I will do 1 more experiment.
Got it.
Or, so that is, I would say, one of the most important thing that a mistake an entrepreneur can do, I feel. Second, if I have to put it, is don't think that you are the smartest person in the company, and always hire people who are better and smarter than you. Okay, so that is again extremely important. You cannot build a large organization. You may be the face of the company, you may be the soul of the company, but to deliver at an operational level, to deliver on a day-to-day, day in, day out, you need a very, very strong team. So spend a lot of time in hiring the next level manager. Don't compromise ki theek hai, even if he is meeting a 50% criteria or 70 or an 80% criteria, spend that extra time, even if it takes the 15 days more. See, in the life of the company, don't have a short-term thing. Like, you're making company for next 30 years. A 15-day delay or a 30-day delay on hiring a critical resource, it has no significance in next 30 years. Right?
True.
So the first core team that you build, you spend that time, you spend that energy, talk to them about your vision, see whether they are aligning with you, what you are talking about, and then, so that will help you.
Makes sense. Perfect. I think that was really insightful. Thank you so much, Mr. Vineet. This brings us to the close of the first segment, the entrepreneurship ki baat.